Grissom. Here. Sievertson.
Here.
Kiefer.
Here.
Flora.
Here.
Coos.
Here.
Zingy. Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody.
This is the savings we reduced.
We can. All right, that brings us to persons to be heard. Communications. First, we have a resolution. Are there people here from the athletic decathlon? Academic decathlon here? Is the teacher here and everybody?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. I have something to read here first. A resolution of the City of Ketchikan, Alaska, honoring the Ketchikan High School Academic Decathlon team for their Division III National Championship and establishing an effective date. Whereas the United States Academic Decathlon is an American academic competition for high school students with winners at the state level vying against each other for the national title. Whereas at the national competition, schools compete based on size and are divided into three divisions, 1, 2, and 3, with Ketchikan High School competing in Division III small schools. Whereas because of their hard work and dedication, and on February 24, 2018, Ketchikan High School's academic decathlon team won the 2018 Alaska Academic Decathlon, propelling the team for the first time ever to the national championship competition in Frisco, Texas. Whereas K-High's team had the highest Division III total score in the United States, taking the Division III National Academic Decathlon Championship and won the Rookie of the Year award as the highest scoring team new to the national tournament. The team also won second place in Division III Super Quiz, and 8 decathletes on the team won 25 individual medals, earning at least one medal in all 10 events of the decathlon. Whereas several members of the team also won scholarships for future academic endeavors. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Council of the City of Ketchikan, Alaska has followed the Council of the City of Ketchikan, Alaska is proud to recognize and honor teacher Peter Stanton and the members of the Ketchikan High School Academic Decathlon team for their hard work in achieving the National Academic Decathlon Division III Championship. Section 2, the Council of the City of Ketchikan, Alaska wishes each member of the team the best in their future academic endeavors. And 3, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon passage. Is there everybody here? Can you come up to the podium? Now, Mr. Stanton, I intentionally didn't read all the kids' names because I didn't want to butcher anything, but if you could introduce who we have here and the members of the team take, and here's some copies of the resolution. Congratulations.
My name is Peter Stanton. I'm proud to be the coach of the K-High Academic Decathlon team. Thank you so much for your support. It's been really amazing to come back to the community and celebrate as an entire community. And of course, like so many high school students in Ketchikan, many of our team members are very busy. Some of them are working right now. Some of them are traveling for other K-High activities. But today we have 2 of our highest scoring, most successful team members here. We have Max Varela and Emmy Anderson. You want to make a few comments?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who's helped us on our way. It took a lot of work building up our team. I've been on the team for 4 years, just as long as Mr. Stanton has. And our first year, we were really bad. And every year we've gotten better until this year when we did the best that we could possibly do. We went into nationals knowing that it would be okay if we didn't win, but that it was amazing that we got there. And winning was just kind of a cherry on top type thing where it just let us know that we really were able to do the most amazing things we can. And I don't know. I just want to say thank you to all the family and teachers who have helped us out because we had so many people coming in and helping us with our subjects all the time, and it was just, we couldn't have done it without everybody who's helped us. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to say anything, sir?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. this person to be heard. Ruth, I think it is first.
Yep.
Yes.
Come on up. You just come on up here. You can just talk to us.
Maybe we could turn calls out now.
Should we move this one out?
Yeah, you could move girls away. Otherwise, we can look at it as recorded.
If you want to come this way, you
Okay.
can speak into this.
Well,
There you go. You're good.
I do feel pretty silly saying this, but apparently I'm the Messiah. Apparently. This is what I'm gathering. And so I've invited Trump and Lisa Murkowski and her family for 4th of July. I have no idea if anything like that will happen, but it really might. Things seem to be happening in a miraculous kind of way. So I want everybody to be thinking about what we have to do to make this okay if it works. You can also dismiss me as a total idiot and nut, which is possible also. The academic decathlon thing, it just, Ketchikan's so coming from behind academically for so many years, and I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled to hear what just happened. You know, we all really need to work together. Everybody knows that all the time. And you know, I say these things over and over again. Everybody's a combination of good and bad. If we just try to follow the good and don't let ourselves follow the bad more than we follow the good, things will work out. And it seems to me, if this is true, what I'm saying and thinking, maybe we're going to have a hard year here with war and all the stuff that's been happening all over. But after that, we're promised when the Messiah comes, and I'm only the Messiah because I figured out that we're all the Messiah, that everybody's got their own connection with God, with a higher being. And I just got a clue a little faster than other people, and that's about it. So my job now is to be a messenger, kind of, and try to connect people. I'm trying to do that on the phone and in person. I don't really know what I'm doing exactly, but I'm giving it a try. Yeah, just try not to fight too much, and I get talking to myself too. And yeah, let's get it together. If this is really happening, and it might be, let's get it together to do a nice show to the political people that are important to us. And it's been discovered lately, more and more, how important this part of the world is to the whole world because of the ancient civilizations found here. Apparently, it didn't freeze during the Ice Age here, so civilization is older than that. And there's just, I don't know. I'm kind of entranced by the flow of the universe right now. I don't know what point I'm speaking to, but that's kind of an introduction of what I have to say. I guess what I'm thinking now is that while I'm in Ketchikan, which I will be in most of this year, I want to talk. I want to hear what the problems are with the big groups, because I'm a pretty good listener and I can help. I don't do everything, but I can help. And I just, within my powers, I want to make things go well, that's all. So, it's a pretty freaking general comment.
We appreciate it.
Okay,
I wouldn't be surprised if Lisa shows up. She seems to like Ketchikan with that.
well, her dad went to high school here, so
Yeah.
she should be properly respectful. Anyway, yeah, Ketchikan's in their blood. They really have to pay attention to us more than they are. Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Perez.
Brian Perez. As you can see, I'm a soldier. I'm also a City of Ketchikan employee. I work for the Ketchikan Police Department. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not here representing the Department of Defense. I'm here representing service members that are currently employed with the City of Ketchikan or those that may be employed in the future. So I brought this book up, and everybody here knows what this book is. I gave each and every one of the council members and the mayor this book, and in this book it has 3 issues that I brought before. I went through the administration, and then when I finally got to Mr. Amelon, and this was some time ago, he said that I could always go to the city council. I wrote a letter at one point to the city council, and this was some time ago, and I got very little response back, and it's not the individual sitting right now in front of me. And then I had went on some military leave back and forth. I had some dialogue back and forth with Human Resources on the issues that I presented in this. Now, some of these issues are pretty clear. We're talking about holiday pay, we're talking about military leave, and we're talking about accrual of annual and sick leave while on military leave. So those are the issues that are inside this book that I presented to everybody here. And I know that each one of you know they're in there, but I'm stating that for other people that are hearing because I gave it to you guys in January, and I'm confident that all the council members and mayor has read this and clearly understood what was in here, because as I went to each one of you, I kind of did a synopsis going through everything, try to make sure everybody kind of understood how to find everything, how to read it, and I opened the dialogue up and said, hey, you guys can contact me anytime by email, by phone, at any time, and talk to me about anything in here, because I'm very versed with the information in here. And again, for those that are listening, the information in here we're talking about, there's case law that's in there, there's case review law that's in there, there's 3 of them in there, and there's a whole lot that you can go online and get to that support what I'm asking for our service members. It's not really a whole lot when you look at we're giving these benefits to other people that aren't like leave. One of them that's a big one that I kind of looked into was the administrative leave. Administrative leave. It's not written anywhere. Not written anywhere on the administrative leave. But when somebody's put on administrative leave, they're put on administrative leave generally because there's an internal investigation, generally for discipline. But we're going to give them all the benefits. The city's going to give them all the benefits as if they were working. But our service member, we don't want to do that for. The service member that is willing to go out in harm's way, they volunteered, it's all voluntary military, they volunteered to go out in harm's way, to get in close with the enemy and neutralize them so they don't come to our home. They don't come here. 9/11 opened our eyes a lot. It said we need to have the National Guard and Reserves to use them. It was huge. We didn't have enough troops to go and find the enemy and neutralize them to ensure that they would not come to our home again. And every service member knows that they're going to go in that arm's way. And the amount of recruitment we got during that period of time after 9/11 was wonderful. We were able to put troops on the ground, and we were able to neutralize the threats there. We have not had any major terrorist activity in the United States since the Afghanistan and Iraq kicked off, because we gave the service member gave the enemy a target, and that was us. It was on their land, on our terms, and we were able to neutralize them. But we have to do that. 1 to 2% of the American population is serving in the armed forces. 1 to 2%. And it's still not enough. So if you look at that 1 to 2% and you think about the employees we have approximately 350 employees in the city. 1% of that is 3.5. Easy math. 2% is 7. So we have to look at that and say, what are we going to do for the city to support the service members? We should be willing to take 7 employees at the 2%, 7 employees and allow them to leave with no issues, and give them those same benefits that we're going to give that individual that's on disciplinary leave. Because who's the better person? The one that's probably going to get fired because they did something wrong? That service member that's going out there to protect each and every one of you here and everybody outside, everybody listening. I mean, they're there. They're putting themselves in harm's way. Tell you a story about what I went through when I went to Iraq. First time I went out the wire at the forward operating base. Butterflies in my stomach, thinking, am I coming back? Am I going to die? And I said to myself, you got to get this thing figured out. You're a platoon leader. You're in charge of 40 people. And I thought back to this movie I watched once. It was a Vietnam movie. And they were talking to this soldier. And he said the way that he was able to deal with that type of uncomfortableness and that uneasiness is he just looked at himself and he says, don't worry if you die. You're a dead man walking. Just deal with it. And that put me at ease. Might sound kind of corny, but that put me at ease. So every time that I started feeling uncomfortable, that's what I always said to myself. Accept it. You choose to do this so you can protect those at home. You did this so you can ensure the enemy has a target that's somebody that can fight back and win. Not the cowards that come to the United States and hit us on terrorist attacks. That's what I always said all the time. And that's the burden that the service members have every time they go over there. They have to see how are they going to work. How are they going to get through that fear? And as I progressed over there was a time where the insurgents were firing at the Bradley commanders. Bradley commanders are in Bradleys, and they're standing up outside. So the whole top of their torso you're able to see. And they were targeting them and shooting them. And they said, I want everybody's to be at name tape defilé. So we'd be down to here. I couldn't do that. I refused to do it. And so I was standing up. And it went to that point of realizing that, hey, I am here to protect everybody, and I don't care if I lose my life because I'm doing it for the American people. That's the duties that I did. I stayed up higher. My guys were always telling me, sir, you got to get down. They're going to shoot you. I said, well, make sure you shoot them. Then at least you'll know where they're at. Those are the things that we deal with as service members every day. And it's for everybody. When we come back here home, we expect to be treated equally. We're not asking for anything extraordinary. We're not asking for that. We're asking when we come back here that our employers treat us accordingly. I've been told at one point that we're only going to give you what the law requires and nothing more. Is that supporting the service member? Probably not. Some people would say, yes, it is. We're only doing what the law says we have to. We're only going to give you what the law requires and nothing more. So why are we doing administrative leave? Who controls the personnel rules in the city? When I read the personnel rules and I read the charter and I read everything, the city council controls that. The city council determines what new personnel rules are to be developed and executed. It's not the manager. It's not the attorney. It's not human resources. They can't modify them. They can't change them without the council's approval. So why do we have administrative leave? If we're only going to give employees what the law requires, then why do we have administrative leave? Because there's no law, there's no personnel rules, there's nothing that govern that. But yet we won't give the service member that same entitlement. Won't do it. There's a lot in here, and I'm not going to go over all this because it'd be all night. But I have constantly asked, sent out another email, when I got a response, which was basically, you guys don't agree with me. When can we sit down and have a dialogue, back and forth, to truly understand what this is? There's a lot of information in here, a lot. And there's a different directions we can go here. But what I want to do is resolve this problem at our level. And when I mean our level, is at the city level. I don't want to go any further with this. I want to resolve it here. I want to resolve it with everybody here. United. That's what I want to do. I'm going to leave you with a quote. Hope I don't butcher it too much. Famous person once said, "Don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." I'm asking you, what have you done for your country? I know what I've done. I've served. I will continue on serving. And I will do it with honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Dustin, did you want to speak, or did you have somebody speaking for you?
I'll go ahead and let my partner here do the talking.
Vicky, you coming up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vicki O'Brien. I'm with the Lennon Brewing Company, and we're number 6 on your new business, so I won't belabor this too much for you. I know that you're preparing to file a protest with us for our liquor license application with the state of Alaska. What I understand is primarily because we don't have a building permit yet. What we're up against at this time is just the timelines. We needed to file our state application permit first, which then sent off a flurry of emails and activity to all sorts of local entities. And we need to have the borough planning folks do their zoning and the conditional use permit before we can do a permit for the building permit. So that's where we're at right now. The planning folks, the Planning Commission is meeting next Tuesday, and we are on their agenda to discuss the conditional use permit. So we're really hoping that the timelines will be able to work out in our favor, and we'll be able to get everything rolling in the way that we need to. I think that's it, really. I know they also have an informal hearing scheduled for us on the 17th, and we should, if nothing else comes of it, then we can discuss this further at that point.
Anybody have any questions, Vicky? Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle.
I sent you guys all emails, and I'm sure you probably all got them, but I brought maps for us tonight just so I can quickly go over them up here. My name's, for the record, Michelle Masden, and I own Island Wings Air Service, and I've been in business in Ketchikan for 27 years now in the float plane industry. And my building is at 1245 Tongass, which is right at the end of Berth 4 and the inside of Berth 4. And I'm here to talk to you guys tonight about my opposing the expansion of Berth 4. I don't know if you guys how familiar you are with float planes, but Ketchikan has 11 float plane companies right now. And if you notice, you never see a float plane taxiing around Thomas Basin or City Float or Bar Harbor. And the reason is float planes are absolutely terrible at maneuvering on the water. They have very limited maneuverability. They can be easily affected by winds and by tides. And so all of the 11 float plane companies here have complete unobstructed access and egress to their properties because it's too dangerous to mix them up with a lot of boats and mooring dolphins and things like that, and certainly not cruise ships. So in my case, already Berth 4 is a real pain for me when we have strong winds, or if there's a lot of traffic, boat traffic coming in behind Berth 4, or if there's a lot of current. If you take a look at diagram 1 there, you can see the maneuver that I have to make to go into the dock, and that's shown on a westerly wind. So in order to access my dock today with the regular size boat in there, I have to make a 180-degree turn to the southeast and another 180-degree turn back to the west, because float planes have to dock into the wind. If you try to dock them downwind, they carry too much speed, and you can end up damaging them at the dock. So very limited maneuvering ability. You can see there that there's already kind of a blind corner going around that boat. So if there's a big boat, as shown on the diagram, coming out, I don't have any brakes, I don't have any reverse, I don't have any way to mitigate colliding with that boat unless he gives way and backs up, or unless I see him before I get inside and continue taxiing in circles outside of the berth or the area before going to my dock, because there's just no easy way to maneuver them. And there are some days, like 25 knots or more, it's absolutely everything the limit of the airplane is capable of to make that turn. And that's today. Now, in a southeast wind, the situation is reversed. You have to make the 180-degree turn to the northwest to exit the area, and then another 180-degree turn to get out of there. So already the existing berth 4 is causing me hardship. And when we add more stuff to that, then it gets even more complicated. If you guys go to diagram 2, you'll see that one includes a float plane dock in front of Talbot's property. So as you may know, have heard that Nancy has applied for a float plane permit with the Army Corps, and she has been successful in obtaining that permit. So it's not built yet, but if it does get built, that's what it looks like. And just for the record, my partner Jim and I, we spent a lot of time drawing these maps for you guys. They were taken off Google Earth, and everything is exactly to scale. So the dock that she has on her permit, the size of the float plane, the boats, everything is there to scale. So you can see that with the addition of 6 more float planes in there, even with the same size of cruise ship and the same mooring dolphins, it gets quite a bit more congested than it already is. And then if you go on to diagram 3, that's where it gets really ugly. So that is with one of the post-Panamax cruise ships in the berth, and with the addition of the extra mooring dolphin that will be required to dock those boats, and also the extra boat dock that berth 4 is planning on putting in. So currently the boat dock at berth 4 is about 60 feet long, and they're looking at, I think it's 220 or 230. It's like triple the amount of linear length for docking boats. So presumably that's to be able to dock more boats. And as you can see on that diagram, it gets really ridiculous in terms of crowded when you add Nancy's float, assuming that she builds it, and also the berth 4. There's not even enough room to pass a boat and a float plane in that situation. For my part of it, you can see where that same float plane in positions A, B, and C, where it has to do that same 180-degree turn, except for now I have to taxi clear in front of Jeff Carlin's property, and he has 4 float planes, sometimes 5, operating off of his dock, which further puts me into a bigger traffic congestion with other vessels that are not maneuverable, more float planes, and then the additional boat traffic that's coming in and out of there. So when a post-Panamax boat is docked in berth 4 in this situation, they're completely cutting off my egress. And so it will become very dangerous to operate a float plane out of there in that situation. It's a blind corner. So already it's a blind corner with the size ships we have now. Those are 965 feet. The post-Panamax boats are in upwards 225 feet longer, 50 feet wider, and 10, 12 stories tall. So when you're taxiing around there, you have no idea who's coming around at you, and no way to mitigate finding out until it's too late. Let's see, what else have I got for you? Then if you go to diagram 4, you can see the shaded area there is in the area where the bow thrusters of a post-Panamax boat will send its turbulence. And in the document I sent you guys, I know it's a lot of information, so you may not have had time to review it, but when you do, if you look at it online, you can actually click on the videos and see some of the videos we've put in there. Already, when the size ships that we have in there now, when they are arriving at the dock in the morning or departing in the afternoon, if a float plane is coming to or departing the dock, we have to remain clear of the area because the eddies they produce are so severe that it would be dangerous to taxi through them, to say the least. So we just have to cease all operations until they're gone. With the bigger boats, they have as many as 4 bow thrusters. The bow thrusters are 10 feet tall, so the propeller inside a bow thruster is 10 feet in diameter. It's huge. And also the propellers, they're called azipod propellers, and they can rotate 360 degrees, so they can maneuver the vessel in any direction it needs to go, and those propellers are 3 stories tall. So you can imagine the amount of water that they can throw. And in that document, you'll see we actually did a video this summer of one of the ships departing. It was a princess ship. And I actually hired a commercial diver to go underwater and show you what's going on underwater, as well as we filmed it from the top, so you get the idea of where you wouldn't want to be maneuvering when they're arriving or departing. Those bow thrusters are eroding the pilings inside of berth 4 already. So you'll see in this video, you'll see sea cucumbers and crabs flying by and sediment flying by, and the diver's hanging onto the piling because there's so much current generated when the boat's departing that he's got to hang on for dear life or get swept away. And the problem with that is these pilings were driven, most of these buildings were put into place in the 50s. And so they're creosote wooden pilings, and they were not drilled into bedrock the way steel pilings are today. They were only driven into the overburden. Overburden is kind of the mud sediment that sits on top of our substrate. And so if you sweep away all that sediment from the pilings, the buildings are all going to fail. So already Ruth Wyman's building next to me is starting to lean towards the ocean to the extent that she hired divers to put diagonal cables from the outside of her building to the bedrock to keep her building from leaning further out to seaward. And that's just due from erosion. In the last couple of years, I spent a couple $100,000 hiring divers to fix my pilings underneath my building because I don't want it to go the same way the buffalo, so to speak. To do that, they go down to the mudline and they blow away some of the sediment around the mudline, and they cut the piling off at its base and leave it stuck in the sediment. And they put a pin inside that piling, and then they take a new piling and set it on the pin and then raise it up. So you're actually using the foundation of the original piling in the sediment. So once again, the new piling is great. There's no torpedoes eating it out. It's nice and strong. But if the sediment gets wiped away, the whole thing will fail. And it's already happening in berth 4, and you'll see that in the video. With these bigger ships, with the larger bow thrusters, the bigger azipod propellers, it's going to create even more damage. And one of the videos, you can see the boat just doing a 180 as a demonstration. This is one of the post-Panamax boats at one of the videos in the document. You can see it just doing a 180 to see its power, its ability to maneuver. But one of the videos actually shows a post-Panamax boat, I think it's in Italy somewhere, departing an area. And I don't know if he got caught in the wind or the current, but he had to really reef on the bow thrusters. And it generated a small tsunami, and it swamped an entire marina. Boats and docks just went end over end from the bow wave that was created. So the more a boat is getting pushed by the wind or the tide, the more they have to use the force of the bow thrusters and the azipod propellers to keep from crashing into something. And the same thing happened here in berth 3 when they were docking a couple of years ago, and as you know what happened there. That video is also included in the document. I'm sure you've all seen that, but anyway, you know what happens when too much wind and too much force meet up. So in the span of 2 minutes, this entire marina was wiped out. So in the event that there's a docking in berth 4, my airplane, my building, my company, everything could be wiped out. Not just me, but Talbot's, the Wyman property, even Carlin's property are all at stake for getting completely wiped out by one of these small, I don't know if you want to call them tsunamis, bow waves, generated from either the azipod propellers or the bow thrusters. So we can get damaged slowly with the gradual erosion of the sediment. We could get damaged quickly in the event of a big wind issue, and our safety of operations can be completely compromised to the point where I won't be able to operate there. So I stand to lose my building. I stand to lose all the improvements I've done to my building. You know, float planes don't have an operation set up like the city provides harbors for boats. Well, I had to put in my own fuel system and my own ramp and my own dock and my own office and my own infrastructure, my own tip-up ramp. I paid for all of that, and I stand to lose it in the expansion of berth 4. I'm not opposed to expansion. I understand that we have to go with the times and these ships are changing. I do not oppose the expansion of berth 1, 2, or 3. In fact, I totally endorse it, and I'll be the one beating down the banner if you guys go for this bond to build it. I'm all behind it, and that's about it. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? Michelle, thank you for all the information.
You're welcome.
You bet. We'll keep you posted.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time.
Randy.
See if I can do this. It won't be near that extensive. I'm just coming at you for my rent from Michelle. I own Mountain Air Service. I started a business about 6 years ago, and the biggest challenge for me to make that jump was dock space. The harbor's shrinking. It's funny because my career began on berth 4, flying for PAC Air back when we were down here in berth 4. And here I am, talking to you guys, which I don't like to do, but I'm here. I just wanted to back up what she's saying. It's, the harbor's shrinking, and the boats are staying less time. So these guys that live out, that have their companies out the road, especially if you're not selling on a cruise ship, the cruise ship sells their people and say, we'll wait for you. So companies like Taquan that sell on the cruise ship, don't have these issues, but these companies that are further out the road have departure time, so they're trying to squeeze in as many tours in a day as they can. So they actually have to drop their people off at our dock or at Carlin's dock because it's a 2-minute ride versus whatever's going on out there. So it's it doesn't seem you look at it and you're like, well, why don't you just go down the street? It's really not that easy. It was a huge hurdle for me to jump to even, it's a huge commitment to start your own business when there's 11 other companies, or 10. I think I made 11, right? Yeah. But my way in there. But anyway, it's not a small issue. And it is, I've worked off berth 4. I worked off every seaplane base in this town, literally. I worked for every company before I did my own thing. Turbine Otters, Twin Otters, Beavers, Cessnas, and they are very hard to maneuver, and her dock is very challenging as it is with berth 4. I've had 2 or 3 instances where the current or the wind has caught me and luckily there was no boat there. This was with no boat, mind you. And I've had to actually go underneath berth 4. Thank God there wasn't a boat there, right? And I finally paddled away, and my heart's beating faster than it is now. It was like, it's freaking you out. You got a $500,000 airplane. You're at the risk of the current and the wind, and that's just part of the job. I get it, but man, we could, that's going to be a huge obstacle. It already is. If there was a boat there, I would hit the boat. I just got lucky both times. One time it was the current. The hard westerlies are a real pain. And it's a pain when you don't have anything in front of you. Turbine Otters, in her. Obviously, I'm not going to write a 15-page. Michelle's a very smart woman, so I don't have anything like that for you. But I can tell you from experience, even having a verse, which makes you more maneuverable, like a beaver, or something that doesn't have a verse, you just got to turn it off and hope you can sail or get out with your paddle, do whatever you can do, to make it, hopefully if you have to hit something, the least amount of damage as possible. And the only time I ever bent metal was obviously in my own plane at her dock, which I was just being an idiot. I was trying to force myself on the ramp because I wanted to go home, and the wind caught me and I couldn't go straight, and I did $5,000 worth of damage in my float in about 20 seconds. So I guess my point is she's validating what she's saying. It already is challenging, and no, going out the road is not a great option, especially for an independent guy that. These ships are staying for 6 hours. Some of these huge ships I've had to turn away this winter probably, 20-something people because I can't fit them in my schedule because they're only here from 7 to 1 o'clock. To whereas back in the day when I was flying for the bigger companies, it seemed like they stayed all day. Didn't it? Back when they first started coming, and now they're just like, they're in and they're out, man. And we're out there trying to get our money, get the gold while we can, and I'm all for, like she said, the bigger ships are great. One of the Bliss, I think, is one of those big ones, right, coming in this year. And a lot of my customers are coming on. That's a great selling ship. But man, it sure would be nice to not have more of an obstacle. And I guess that's why I'm speaking tonight, just to let you know from my point of view. She's a building owner and she has other issues. I root for Michelle because it's a great spot. Get a lot of walk-up customers. You're close to town. So going out the road, as people say, why don't you go to Word Cove? Well, that'd be great, dude. If we can afford the 30-minute, 20 minutes it takes I'd have to hire 2 drivers just to keep the train going, and so anyway, I'll leave you with that. Just want to give you a different perspective from, like just a renter, small business guy trying to make it out here in the shrinking harbor. So thanks for your time.
Thanks for coming. All right, that was the last one signed up to speak. Does anybody here want to speak to the council that didn't sign up? All right, we'll move on. That brings us down to the consent agenda. I was thinking of adding 6A1 appointments.
No, I actually have some questions about that.
Then we shall not do that. I was thinking of 7A 1, 4, 1 and 4, and B1. Anybody have any problems with those? All right, we'll do those. All right, do we have a motion to consent?
Your Honor, I move to consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you read the items? Thank you.
Approval of the minutes, regular city council meeting of April 19th, 2018. Resolution number 182698, honoring the Ketchikan High School academic decathlon team for the Division III National Championship. Security assignment of Tidelands lease ADL 105576 to Northrum Bank. Ordinance number 1878, approving a lease agreement between the City of Ketchikan and the Ketchikan Visitors Bureau, Inc. for certain real property located on Berth 2 and Berth 3 of the Port of Ketchikan, first reading. Change order number 1, final to contract number 1713, backup generator, purchase and installation for the Saxman Community Center, Channel Electric, Inc. And ordinance number 1877, amending Chapter 11.12, Telecommunications Service and Rates of the Ketchikan Municipal Code, first reading.
All right, anybody have any questions on any of these items? Call the roll.
Isom? Yes. Severson?
Yes.
Kiefer?
Yes.
Flora?
Yes.
Coos?
Yes.
Zinni? Yes.
Okay, it passes 6-0. That brings us down to 6A1, appointments to boards and commissions. Dave, what do you got?
Well, do we need to make a motion?
Well, first tell us what.
I guess what I want before we pass out the Healthcare Transparency Committee, and I was not here when you guys had your discussion about that a month or so ago, and I apologize for that.
No problem.
I really need to see like a timeline. I really need to see a sense of, because I realize we are approaching the summer, and that means that nothing's going to get done until October. But this can't be dragging on until January or February.
Did we ever talk about a timeline, Judy, Carl?
No, we did. I did bring it up, but we never really discussed it. But I feel the same way.
I wish I could say have it by August, but that's not going to happen. I get that, but this can't be. This can't go floating off into the middle of next year.
How about October 1st?
Is that reasonable?
Yeah,
New
I think
council
so.
take over the meeting. Bob?
Well, since this committee hasn't even met yet, and I don't know what the amount of work they're going to have before them, I wonder if we could have a report back from them in their first organizational meeting as to what they look at as a reasonable timetable, so we can work with them on that, because they got different schedules too. But I agree with you. This can't go on and on and on. So
Either way.
if that works, I'm not.
Carl, when they get the meeting, can you make sure they talk about a timeline and then bring it to us so we can set one?
I can do that, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just want to see something so that we
Yeah, I agree with you.
No, I agree.
All right. Any objections to appointments? Shall be said, shall be done. That brings us to 682, ordinance adding new subsection to Ketchikan Municipal Code 304130, entitled Use of Proceeds of Sales Taxes from the Use of Marijuana Sales Tax, second reading. That's to do our agency funding. Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I move the City Council approve the second reading ordinance number 18-1876, adding a new section E to KMC 3.04.130 entitled Use of Proceeds of Sales Tax concerning the use of marijuana sales tax and establish an effective date.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody want to talk to it? Call the roll.
Zingy.
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Flora.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Yeah, that passes 6-0. Brings us to 782, revised scope of work 2018 Ted Ferry Civic Center fire alarm system upgrade. We have a motion.
Your Honor, I move the City Council approve the revised scope of work for the Ted Ferry Civic Center's 2018 fire alarm system update capital improvement project as detailed in the April 23rd, 2018 report of the Fire Chief, Public Works Director, and Civic Center Manager.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Dave, do you want to add anything?
No, sir.
Carl, so we're reducing the scope. We don't have to do as much.
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to thank staff for all their work on this. I know that it came up at a council meeting, and they went out and looked at what the actual ordinance read and worked with the contractors and stuff and came up with, I think, a reasonable proposal. So I'd like to thank you for that.
Excellent. Call the roll.
Severson.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
Flora.
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Zingy.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0. Brings us to 7A3, order contract 1811 Fire Station 2 re-roof project, Coogan Construction Company. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I move the City Council accept the bid of Coogan Construction Company in the amount of $361,700 for contract number 18-11. Fire Station number 2 re-roof project, establish a 10% contingency in the amount of $36,170, bringing the total project cost to $397,870, authorizing funding from the Fire Department 2018 repair and renovation station number 2 capital account, and direct the city manager to execute the contract documents on behalf of the City Council.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Bob, do you want anything?
I don't know what the square footage of that roof is and what the underlying conditions are, but I've heard comments about contingencies and how they all work out. So I'm just hoping that this project's a nice, smooth project, and maybe we don't have to get into that.
Anybody else?
It's a roof.
I know. What am I thinking?
It's a flat roof.
Call the roll, please.
Kiefer.
Yeah.
Flora.
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Zingy.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0. Brings us to 7A5, temporary addition of one police officer position above the staffing level approved by the 2018 General Government Operating Capital Budget. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
I move the City Council authorize the temporary addition of one police officer position above the staffing level approved in the 2018 General Government Operating and Capital Budget in anticipation of staff retirement and/or separation as detailed in the police chief's memorandum dated April 25th, 2018.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Judy, you want to add anything?
No, I just think it's good planning.
Anybody else? Call the roll.
Flora.
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Zingy.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
That passes 6-0. That brings us down to 7A6, liquor license, new application, potential protest brewery. And I don't know how to say the brewery company name, but it's there.
You can spell it. Everyone insult?
We have a motion.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Pursuant to the Ketchikan Municipal Code 5.20.050B, I move the City Council protest the application of the brewery liquor license Airland Cell. Okay. Brewing Company, direct the city clerk to schedule a public hearing on the protest at 7 p.m. on May 17th, 2018, in the council chamber to notify the license applicant in accordance with the Ketchikan Municipal Code, Section 5.20.050B.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Bob, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you that, this sets a lot of things in motion when you put in your permit, and we have a short window of opportunity to do these protests. And the way it works, you guys are in the process now, I think, of getting the plans through the zoning department and all those permits. And so we'll see where you're at come the 20th in the public hearing. And even if we still protest it at that point because we're not quite there, we have until the alcohol board meets to meet those things, which, and I don't know what their meeting schedule is like, if they're meeting quarterly or how all that works. And what's that?
The next one is in mid-June. I don't remember the date off.
In the mid-June, okay. So I'm in hopes that we get this stuff all squared around before we ever get there. And so, but we have to go through the public process such as this because we got to adhere to the regulations as they are. So.
Anybody else? Dick?
So we don't have to have this letter to the board, though, till June 2nd?
Correct.
So we've got another meeting to sit on this before we send it.
Right,
Yeah, so we got a public hearing session.
the 17th.
Oh, okay.
And then at that point, we'll decide where we're going to move forward. From what I understand.
Okay. So the public hearing session will be next meeting?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Dustin, Vicky, good luck. Hope it works out. Call the roll, please.
Zingy? Yes. Isom?
Yes.
Severson?
Yes.
Kiefer?
Yes.
Flora?
Yes.
Coos?
Okay.
Okay, that passes 6-0, brings us to 7B2, approving Schedule 4 service order form addendum to the master service agreement between the City of Ketchikan, DBA, Ketchikan Public Utilities, and City West Cable and Telephone Corp. In addition, and to add additional internet and layer 2 transport capacity between Prince Rupert, Canada, and Seattle, Washington. Do we have a motion?
Before we go there, Your Honor, we have a executive session. Is that in case we need it? Or
It's
is
in
that,
case we need it.
Council's discretion.
okay. So, Your Honor,
Yeah, throw it on the table. Then we
Yep.
can sit on.
I move that the City Council approve the Schedule 4 service order from addendum to the master service agreement between the City of Ketchikan, DBA Ketchikan Public Utilities, and City West Cable and Telephone Corporation to add additional internet and layer 2 transport capacity between Prince Rupert, Canada, and Seattle, Washington. Authorized funding from the Telecommunications Division 2018 Rent and Lease Infrastructure account number 645.04, and direct the general manager to execute the addendum on behalf of the City Council.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. I talked to Carl already on cost and all that, but if anybody wants to talk about it in executive session, we can do that. Or
Yes, I think we need to talk about it.
okay, let's
Defer until after this.
let's defer until after the executive session.
I move to defer until after the executive.
Second.
All right. Now the second on number 3 also has an executive session too, if you need it, on the water contract 1814. So let's make that motion and see where we're at, and then we'll probably do some executive sessions.
Your Honor, I move the City Council award contract number 18-14 KPU Telecommunications Marine Survey and Engineering to West Park Electric Ltd. in the amount of $822,350. Establish $50,000 contingency, bringing the total project cost to $872,350. Authorize funding from the Telecommunication Division's 2018 Internet Expansion Capital Account, and direct the general manager to execute the contract documents on behalf of the City Council.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. You guys ready to vote on that, or do you need the executive session?
I think we ought to put them, I think we ought to talk in there
Okay.
so we know what we're doing.
Okay, we'll do. Can we make a deferral until after the executive session? Did you?
I move to defer.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we'll defer it until after the executive session. So that takes us to vouchers, approval of vouchers, $155 to the Daily News and $292.50 to the workshop.
Your Honor, could we do them separately? My husband owns the wood shop.
Well, I was hoping you'd just bow out and we'd just take care of it, but if you want
Okay, we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Talk about it.
Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move for the approval of vouchers to the Ketchikan Daily News in the amount of $155 and the wood shop in the amount of $292.50.
Call the roll, please.
You want a second?
Okay, sorry.
I'll second.
Want to get to the work.
I second.
Moved in second. Call the roll.
Isom,
Yes.
Severson,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Flora,
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Judy, you're abstaining?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Ask her.
Okay, that's approved. Okay, that means managers report. Carl?
Got three, Mr. Mayor. I just want to extend my greatest appreciation to Anita Maxwell and Stephen Bolano of the Museum Department. The new permanent exhibit opened last week, and I really believe they did a tremendous job. And if you haven't had the chance to get over and take a look at it, I would recommend highly that you get over because it was just awesome. I want to remind the council that at the meeting of the 17th, we've got a presentation by DOT about the different projects that are upcoming in Ketchikan, and I've scheduled that as one of the first two business items for that meeting. And the last item I have, Mr. Mayor, is at the meeting of the 5th, I advised you that a committee comprised of HR Manager Marie Miller, Public Works Director Mark Hilson, Telecommunications Division Manager Ed Cushing, and I were interviewing applicants for the Assistant Manager's job the week of April 9th. Those interviews all took place based on the applicants' previous work histories, the interviews themselves, and the unanimous recommendation of the other committee members. I have appointed former museum director Lacey Simpson as the new assistant manager effective June 11th.
Couldn't stay away, could she?
She's very passionate about Ketchikan, and that's one of the reasons that led to her appointment, as well as her knowledge of the issues facing general government and KPU. And I'm very much looking forward to her return to Ketchikan and working with her on pursuing the policies and objectives that the council sets. So I'm very happy about that. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Carl. Any questions for Carl's report? All right, city clerk's file,
None, Your Honor.
attorney's file,
Nothing, Your Honor.
future agenda items, mayor and council comments. Let's do that after the executive sessions. How do you guys want to handle these? You want to do those public utility things first, or go back up to the top, or start at the top with the collective bargaining?
Let's just take them in order.
Okay. Do you have a motion then for A1, please?
Your Honor, I move that the City Council declare that consistent with the City Manager's Memorandum dated April 19, 2018, it is in the best interest of the City to discuss negotiations regarding a possible amendment to the current 3-year extension of the 2015-2018 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Ketchikan and Public Safety Employees Association in executive session in accordance with the findings of the City Council go into executive session 44.62.310C1 and 3 and discuss negotiations in the auxiliary items described in the City Manager's Memorandum dated April 19, 2018, with matters include the need to discuss subjects, knowledge of which would have an adverse impact upon the finances of the city and upon the city's ability to negotiate favorable labor settlements.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Severson,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Flora,
Yes.
Coos,
Yes.
Zingy. Yes. Isom.
Yes.
All right. We'll adjourn out of this one and adjourn in the executive. All right, we're back in session. We met with management, and this time we don't have any. We gave our management direction, and we don't have any action at this moment. That brings us down to the session, executive session 15.2. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
I move the City Council declare consistent with the City Manager's report April 26, 2018, it is in the best interest of the City Council to discuss negotiations, amendment to the lease, and other definitive agreement between the City of Ketchikan and Ketchikan Dock Company LLC related to the expansion of berth 4 to afford larger vessels in executive session in accordance with the Ketchikan Municipal Code 2.04.025A1 and 3, which includes the need to discuss subjects the knowledge of which could have an immediate adverse impact on the finances of the city, and to receive legal advice within the attorney-client privilege.
Do you have a second? Moved and seconded. Let's adjourn out of this one. The meeting room. Oh, shoot. Call roll, please.
Isom?
Yes.
Severson?
Yes.
Kiefer?
Yes.
Flora?
Yes.
Coos?
Yep.
Zingy?
Yes.
All right, now.
So we're out, come back out of the executive session. We went in, discussed item 7B2. There is a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Please call the roll. Take your time.
Isom?
Yes.
Severson?
Yes.
Kiefer?
Yes.
Flora?
Yes.
Coos?
No.
Zingy?
Yes.
That motion passes. Brings us to the next executive session item, which is 15(2)(b)(2).
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the City Council declare that consistent with the General Manager's Memorandum of April 25th, 2018, that it's in the best interest of the city to discuss strategic competitive aspects of the Ketchikan Public Utilities Telecommunication Division capital investment strategy in executive session in accordance with the Ketchikan Municipal Code Section 2.04.025A1 in order to discuss subjects the immediate knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the city.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Zingy?
Yes.
Coos?
Yes.
Flora?
Yeah.
Kiefer? Severson?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
We recess into executive session. Done?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be back in session. We discussed the item. Brings us to motion that's already on the table, 7B3. Are there any questions? Please call the roll.
Zingy.
Yes.
Coos.
Yes.
Flora.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
Severson.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
All right, so that brings us to mayor and council comments. Dick?
Nope.
Judy? Julie?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'd like to see us at some point have exchange dialogue with Mr. Perez. And I'd like to ask for 4 hands that would agree that we have a conversation with together instead of
As a group?
separate, as a group.
How would we do that? How would we
I
process?
have no idea what it would look like. If it's executive session, probably, I don't know, but I think we need to address it.
The other group of which? Discussion with who?
Mr. Perez.
In regard to his comments tonight at the podium.
Oh, okay.
And in regards to the binder that we all received.
I don't know how we proceed with that, so
Would that be just a future agenda item?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do a future agenda item, and then we'll get some response back from the attorney and the manager and go from there.
Okay.
And then maybe and then just put it as an executive session.
And coordinate it for a time that Mr. Perez is in town.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Carl?
Just comment that I would assume Mitch would want to have a conversation at the next meeting in executive session on the proposal to meet with Mr. Perez. So if that's acceptable to Councilmember Isom, I'll put that on as an agenda item.
I think we should have that prior to the executive session or the discussion that we have with Mr. Perez.
The
That's what you
executive
meant.
session.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what I'm saying. I'll have that
Okay.
for the next agenda if that's.
And then we'll move after that. Okay. So that
we
would
do
be the
that?
intent. We're going to be advised by Mitch about where we're going to go with that.
Okay.
This will just be an agenda.
Then move forward.
item, so.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. That's all.
Okay. As Carl had mentioned, we had a meeting with the governor when he was in town. The borough and Saxman were also involved. I thought it was a very good conversation, very positive. We discussed items such as the CBV monies, opioid issues, a number of other issues. He took notes, of course, of what we were discussing, and we talked about DOT issues and stuff, but I thought it was pretty productive, what it is. Dave?
No, I was just gonna do something similar to what Julie did. I think we need to deal, at least see if there's any way we can deal with this.
Mark?
None, Your Honor.
That leaves us with adjournment.
So moved.